Hello, my name's Rhys Garrard and welcome to this week's episode of Woke News. Now, the main thing I really want to talk about this week is the new movie that's out called The Game Changers Movie. It's a film about switching towards a plant-based diet and how it can really benefit you and have a lot of health benefits just in general, and how a lot of top athletes have also changed over to a plant-based diet. It's really interesting and I really want to delve into it and talk about some of the criticism it's received and some of the points I really enjoyed in the film. But while I was researching that, I actually spotted an article by The Guardian and it really shocked me. And the article stated that by 2021 we could start to see a tipping point in the Amazon rainforest, a point where the rainforest can no longer sustain itself. Now, this was really interesting to read into, and I kind of delved in and got carried away, and I probably read about 2.5–3 hours of articles on the Amazon rainforest and how it actually exists as an entity. Now, a rainforest, how it works is the trees perspire a lot, so a lot of water from the trees goes from the ground and back into the atmosphere. In fact, that much water goes back into the atmosphere that before the rain has a chance to move on to a new location, such as happens in other countries and other forests around the world, the rain falls back down to the ground, saturates the ground, it goes back into the trees, back into the air, and it's a continuous cycle. And that's why we have rainforests. And that's how they do exist on the equator, is because it's so hot, it's so humid, all the water's up into the atmosphere that quick that it's too quick for it to move on elsewhere and it comes straight back down. Now, the tipping point in the Amazon is actually at the point where that process doesn't happen enough. So there's not enough trees to perspire to get that water into the atmosphere. And what's actually happening at the moment, and we're seeing in certain parts of the Amazon already, are these droughts. Now we're seeing them because there simply aren't the amount of trees there used to be. And with less trees, there's not enough trees to get that water into the air and to complete that cycle. And they're saying by 2021 at the earliest, which is staggering. I mean, it's not even 2 years away. 2021. And, you know, the estimations vary of when it's going to happen. It could be 15 years, it could be 20 years, it could be 2021. But the idea that we are talking about a tipping point already is heartbreaking. We lose 150 acres of the Amazon rainforest every single minute. Every minute, 150 acres. And the funny thing was, I remember when I was in year 6, which wasn't that long ago, I suppose, and we did a project on the rainforest. In fact, the project on the rainforest was because of me. I read a magazine, there was a competition where schools could do research and create artworks about the rainforest, and you could win a trip to a local, I think it was a natural history museum in London, it was something like that. And I remember reading then that every single second we lost a football's pitch worth of trees. And I remember as a kid that hit me hard. You know, the numbers were shocking at the time, but I suppose at that age you don't really have the mental capacity to process it and really delve into and understand what it means. And now I'm older and I read that those numbers have just increased. It's getting worse. And you think that's been going on since I was in year 6. You know, we're talking 12 or 13 years ago now. And it's still going on today. And we're not doing really anything about it. It's getting worse. This August alone, the deforestation in the Amazon rainforest, especially in Brazil, was 222% higher than it was last August. 222% higher. The reason I brought this up today is because those 13 years, nothing's changed. And I read that article today and I thought to myself, in 13 years' time, what is going to be the situation then? Where are we going to be at with the Amazon rainforest? Is it going to be dead? Is it going to have reached that tipping point and there's nothing we can do to stop it? Because once we've reached the tipping point, that's pretty much it. Or are we going to stand here, am I going to stand here in 13 years' time and go, we did it, we saved the Amazon rainforest? How brilliant would that be? Because 13 years is enough time. It's a massive amount of time to make a big impact. So below I've linked in the donation link for the Rainforest Alliance Trust, and they help reforest rainforests all around the world, not just the Amazon, because other rainforests are suffering across the globe. So do go down there and donate whatever you can. I think it's really important. Anything helps. Let's not live in this society where everything is at shock value. You know, when the Amazon forest fires were raging, the whole world was up in arms about it. Leaders were getting involved, and that lasted for about a week, maybe 2 weeks maximum, and then it just slips back into this silent in the background that the rainforest is still being destroyed and not really much has changed. So go down there, make a difference, and that's all I've got to say on the rainforest. Next thing we're going to move on to is the Game Changers movie. Now, I watched this last Thursday, I think, and I've really enjoyed it. I'm going to play you the trailer now, or part of the trailer anyway, and you can get a bit of a feel for what the movie's like if you haven't already watched it.
Steak. That's what a man eats.
Selling that idea that real men eat meat.
Serious man food.
But you got to understand, that's marketing. That's not based on reality.
I've been teaching fighting techniques to government agencies for more than 15 years. Then, I got injured.
Wake a lot of people up. I was recovering better, not getting as sore. This was our best season in the last 15 years, and we had 14 guys on plant-based diets.
We all want to feel great, have more energy.
Kids can't keep up with the grandchildren. My grandchildren can't keep up with me.
It's not one set of dietary guidelines for improving your performance as an athlete, another one for reversing heart disease, reversing diabetes. It's the same for all of them.
Someone asked me, how could you get as strong as an ox without eating any meat? And my answer was, have you ever seen an ox eating meat?
So I hope you got a taste there for what the Game Changers movie was going to be like if you haven't watched it already. If you haven't watched it, I'd really recommend you do go and check it out. It's on Netflix. It came out last Wednesday and it was brilliant. You know, I really enjoyed it, and I think it got across the fact that plant-based diets are actually a lot more healthy than the diets we're perhaps consuming at the moment, and especially the effects that meat and dairy can have. Now, since it coming out, it's obviously received a lot of criticism from lots and lots of people, especially industries who are trying to protect the fact that we should be eating meat and dairy and eggs and all the rest of it. So it's unsurprising that you see a lot of these articles that come out online that go, the myths and facts of the Game Changers movie, how it's all rubbish, how it's funded by people who want you to eat plant-based diets. And to an extent that's true, you know, and I think the ironic thing slightly is I saw this one article, I think it was the Beef magazine or something like that, and it was the most biased article I've ever read in my life, and they were trying to argue that the Game Changers movie was biased because of the people who were in it and because they were vegan and because they owned companies which could benefit from people changing to a plant-based diet. And this magazine called Beef is primarily run by, obviously, the meat industry, and they were trying to argue that, oh, this film's biased and that their article wasn't. So that was, you know, there's articles like that out there that you go, well, maybe the Game Changers movie is, you know, produced by people who might benefit from people swapping to a plant-based diet, but equally you're trying to argue that with a magazine which would benefit from people staying on a meat-based diet. So, you know, where do you go with that? My personal opinion is I genuinely really liked it. It really woke me up to the food I was eating, and I think even if it does that, even if you go over there and watch the film and go, oh, I need to eat healthier, then it's done what it's out to achieve. It's there to try and change people's diets for the positive and make you realise that your diet has a massive impact on your health. So if it does that, then I think it's achieved what it's set out to do. To see someone like also Arnold Schwarzenegger promoting this plant-based diet was brilliant to see. I mean, he's someone who obviously has eaten meat for many years to become a bodybuilder and has been told by doctors, his physicians, that he needs to cut back on that because he had a lot of heart problems back then, and in the past few years particularly, he's been cutting back on the amount of meat he eats and sort of going towards this more plant-based diet, and he's felt a lot healthier and really improved the state, especially in condition, of his heart. So there's a lot of things like that in the film that make you go, yeah, actually that's brilliant. And also you've got the side that a plant-based diet is better for the environment, and all these critics do seem to miss the point of that. And I suppose it's not pushed quite as much in the film. There's a bit towards the end which I really enjoyed, which had a lot of facts and figures about how animal products affects the environment. But I think as a whole, and especially someone who is very sort of avid towards saving the environment, it made me think, well, you know what? Animal products have a massive impact on our planet, and if I can help the planet while improving my health, then why not? Thank you for watching this episode of Woke News. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week.